Hello and welcome to another exciting episode by Marvelous Videos. I'm your host Mystical Blue. Ferra and Torr collaborate as a single character in Mortal Kombat X. The two, along with D'Vorah and Erron Black, are part of Kotal Khan's most loyal troops in the combat arena. Torr, the enormous beast, usually obeys the impish girl Ferra, who seems to command him. In one of their variations, Torr fights without Ferra. In case you were wondering, Ferra departs from Torr during a fatality while he is being killed. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. History of Ferra and Torr. Ferra and Torr, a symbiote duo that was initially found wandering the Tarkatan wastelands before being picked to personally guard the new Outworld Emperor Kotal Khan, are a young female rider and a big masked behemoth. They are members of an extraterrestrial species in which the rider and the mount become one. Ferra is a little warrior with clawed gauntlets on each of her hands. She sits atop Torr, a massive monster with a rip in the torn cloth that is tied to his face and shackled by ropes, revealing one of his crimson eyes. Both wear spiked armor, including shoulder plates and greaves. However, Ferra has multiple leather bands across her chest, and Torr uses ropes to hold his clothes and armor in place. Ferra's feet have some kind of ankle protection, whereas Torr wears sandals. Even to their closest allies, the dual entity known as Ferra Torr is enigmatic. The wicked sorcerer Shang Tsung is said to have imprisoned Torr and Ferra in the depths of the flesh pits after capturing them as Outworld residents and binding them to one another for all time. They most likely belong to a long-forgotten symbiotic race where the rider forms a link with the mount. Ferra acts as their de facto brains and Torr as their muscle. It's conceivable that they speak to one another telepathically, or that Ferra is capable of understanding the booming grunts that Torr often emits. Ferra and Torr was taught or forced into acting as Kotal Khan's bodyguard after being discovered wandering the Tarkatan wastes by Imperial forces. In the Mortal Kombat X comic series, when Ferra and Torr was residing in the wastelands in the past, the Tarkatans assaulted them. Torr was overpowered by their greater troops, and Ferra was taken prisoner. Torr was separated from Ferra and confined in a cage, while both were shackled. Before the three killed all the Tarkatans and devoured them, Kotal Khan arrived and released Torr from his bonds. The two then saved Ferra. For the first time, Ferra and Torr appear in Raiden's vision as a shadowy figure behind Kotal Khan. After being hidden by a reptile, Ferra and Torr make their first public appearance after accompanying Kotal Khan to the Golden Desert to battle Melina's insurrection. Ferra calls the Red Dragon mercenaries meat puppets before unleashing Torr on them. With a single punch, Torr destroys a single red dragon. After the Emperor is shot by Sonya Blade, Kotal Khan, D'Vorah and Reptile prepare to defend him with Ferra and Torr by their side. Ferra and Torr observe in silence as the party discusses where to go for Erron Black, Cassie Cage and Jackie Briggs after Johnny Cage has put an end to the hostilities between the two sides. They appear briefly as Kotal Khan, one of the Emperor's bodyguards, judges Erron Black for his deeds. D'Vorah is accompanied by Ferra and Torr to her fruitless talks with Kintaro. Ferra and Torr argue about Ferra's plots to sever Shao Kahn's head as they go back to Kotal Khan's citadel with D'Vorah. As Ferra ponders the whereabouts of the Emperor and they all realise that Kotal Khan has departed, Torr lumbers up to a nearby window to offer her a glimpse of the chaotic streets below. During the last battle of the Shao Kahn siege, a gigantic mutant Oni warlord with two heads renders Ferra and Torr unconscious. Ferra and Torr visit Kotal Khan's deserted palace with Reptile and D'Vorah after the Shao Kahn siege. After Reptile describes his first encounter with Kotal Khan, Ferra tells Kotal, who is uninterested, the tale of her and Torr. D'Vorah then speculates that the Tarkatans must have demanded money for the two's escape after hearing their narrative, which only confuses Ferra. Following D'Vorah's description of her own experience, Ferra and Torr observe Kano, and the other members of the Black Dragon clan arrive. Ferra and Torr ride out with Kotal Khan, D'Vorah, and the combined forces of the Outworld and the Black Dragon clan of Kano. As Kano uses a portable nuclear bomb to eliminate more than half of Kintaro's force, Ferra is stunned by the beautiful death lights. The Black Dragon tries to collect money for their services after the Shokan is defeated, but Ferra and Torr stay by Kotal Khan's side. After Kotal Khan refuses to pay them for their involvement in the kidnapping of Casey Cage and Jackie Briggs, Ferra and Torr join Devourer as they bring Kano to the dungeon for his crimes. Kano is then fought for attempting to demand the Portal Stone. Ferra and Torr are called out by Devourer using the Portal Stone to fight Havoc's Blood Code corrupted soldiers. Ferra is astonished and baffled to witness Kotal attack Torr despite insisting he would never injure Torr, as the two support Devourer in combat with Kotal Khan. Silently, Ferra and Torr watch as the gathering warriors release Havoc's slaves from the Blood Code. Ferra and Torr are shown as Kotal Khan's enforcers in Mortal Kombat X. They show up there to break up the battle after Kung Jing defeats Erron Black and prevents the execution of an Outworlder who was found guilty of stealing. When they try to take on Torr alone, Takeda Takashi, Jackie Briggs and Cassie Cage are all quickly eliminated. On the other hand, Kung Jin uses his bow and arrows to stop Ferra and Torr from seriously harming his team. Kung Jin beat both Ferra and Torr and then imprison Ferra beneath Torr's lifeless body. The two subsequently appear next to Kotal Khan as he enters Earthrealm to get Shinnok's amulet. After Jackie defeats Ermac and the reptile, Ferra and Torr confront Jackie 2-on-1. Jackie defeats them, but they soon reassemble and defeat Takeda. The two easily overcome Takeda, who was exhausted after fighting Kotal's troops, and then toss him to his own comrades. As Kotal's soldiers encircle the group, Ferra and Torr are the first to change in and murder them. Sub-Zero freezes them, both to a solid form, as he and the Lin Kuei warriors rush in to save the Earthrealmers. It's uncertain what happened to the two after Shinnok was defeated. The second set of characters to occupy a roster spot are Ferra and Torr. The first ones are Smoke and Noob. When referring to Ferra and Torr in-game, Ermac may occasionally say, "We are many, you are but two." This is a different take on Ermac's well-known comment from Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat X. Additionally, Erron Black could utter the phrase, "You two deserve each other," while battling Ferra or Torr. Only 3 characters, including Ferra and Torr, have various throws in a single game. Jason Voorhees and Johnny Cage make up the other 2. Ferra and Torr, who do 37% more damage than corrupted Shinnok, have Mortal Kombat X's most potent X-ray assault. Ferra and Torr's pain and gain damage bonus is a single ability, in contrast to Kotal Khan's damage bonuses, which may stack. Ferra and Torr are one of the only 2 characters that have several brutality varieties, as opposed to the other fighters who only have 1. The second is Kano, specifically his Commando incarnation. Ferra and Torr and Kung Lao are the only characters that can combo off their uppercuts without the need for further juggling. Torr also has the longest active uppercut attack in the game. Torr is about the same height as Goro when he stands straight during Test Your Luck, similar to Bihan as Noob Saibot in Mortal Kombat. Ferra and Torr are the only characters in Mortal Kombat X to have 2 fighters attack the opponent during an X-ray. Goro is shown interacting with Ferra and Torr and showing reverence for Torr because of his enormous stature and power. Ferra is immune to harm when playing. Only in Kung Jin's chapter in story mode, when he fires an arrow at her to save Cassie, does she ever get hit. Ferra, while acting as a projectile, is the only non-enhanced special who is capable of destroying all types of projectiles launched at Ferra and Torr throughout gameplay. Ferra always reappears on Torr's back during the fatality phase, regardless of the variation chosen. The same is true for brutalities. When playing the ruthless, vicious, or variation-less versions, or when Ferra is not on his back, Torr cannot execute the bulk of his special moves or combos. When Ferra and Torr are confronted by Johnny Cage, Cage makes fun of them by calling them Master Blaster, alluding to the action film Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome from 1985.
Your eyes, so bright. Gonna carve them out!
What makes Ferra and Torr so deadly? While Torr's sheer mass gives him superhuman strength and durability, allowing him to effortlessly crush his opponents, Ferra's diminutive stature gives her rapid reflexes, and her bladed gauntlets provide her with a deadly cut. Ferra commands Torr, and Torr even uses Ferra to augment the power of his charging attacks. The two get along well. With her claws, Ferra may annoy Torr, making him more aggressive in his attacks. The two periodically argue, with Torr participating in the the conflict while Ferra stands aside in safety. This doesn't mean Torr is any less dangerous though, as he has significantly improved with more brutish skills in Ferra's absence, allowing him to employ moves to become more aggressive in a battle that he wouldn't be able to use with Ferra. Using Bow Girl, the opponent is knocked off their feet as Torr throws Ferra across the floor. Any ground-based projectiles that Ferra comes in touch with are destroyed. With the Ferra Toss maneuver, Torr launches Ferra at a sharp angle, whereupon she flips and cuts their adversary in the face. Ferra spirals ahead, destroying every shot that comes her way. Ferra may be thrown at various ranges, known as the close bar Ferra Toss. Torr uses Ferra to hit his opponent with tuck and charge, before tucking her under his arm and rushing against them. After using Deep Stab to take down the opponent, Ferra can use her claw to stab them in the abdomen before tossing them off. Ferra uses Pain and Gain while stabbing Torr with her claws, causing him to lose 5% of his health and bleed heavily from his arms in exchange for a momentary damage increase. This bonus may be multiplied up to 3 times. Ferra stabs Torr while protecting herself with armor. The strike may also be dash cancelled. The damage bonus still applies when a dash is aborted, but Torr loses his armor. Torr will always lose 5% health anytime this attack is used, even if the dash cancels. If the attack is not used within a certain amount of time, or if the player does not reapply the attack, Torr will lose the damage bonus. As Ferra dives down in front of them and starts to attack them in the abdomen with her claws, Torr grabs the opponent with Little Cutter and turns them around. Then Torr launches the adversary into the air and Ferra immediately follows with an uppercut. This performs the function of a deep stab and activates more slowly in the vicious variation. During boss toss, Ferra continuously stabs their opponent's chest before kicking off them and landing back on Torr's back. Ferra is in the air, destroying any missiles that come her way. Additionally, the assault keeps the target upright unless Ferra kicks them away. The Torr charge is how Torr attacks his foe. Unlike tuck and charge, Torr's arms are outstretched before charging, but the strike only gives 1 hit on the armor at the beginning of the attack. Although the window is very limited, similar to the armor bonus, Torr may also destroy or be undamaged by approaching missiles when his arms are outstretched. This replaces tuck and charge in the Lackey variation. Backbreaker is used by Torr to grab his opponent, bear hug them, and then toss them away. This replaces Deep Stab in the Lackey variation. The Boulder Roll by Torr causes his opponent to fall down as it rolls into their legs. Torr executes a rising uppercut with Torr Up, knocking his opponent away into the air. With Better Than One, Torr raises the opponent by the arms. Ferra stands on his shoulder and hits the adversary in the forehead with her claws. She then flips them over, moves slowly and painfully down their body and slices them in half. Torr then throws the torn body to the ground. Playtime is used by Torr to launch Ferra into the opponent's stomach, leaving a massive gaping wound. Ferra reaches out her arms sideways and pulls Torr violently away from her, cutting the victim in half horizontally. Torr falls forward to catch Ferra. The victim's torso slumps backwards while the victim's knees crumple on top of it. When Torr utilizes a tuck and charge or a Torr charge to connect with an opponent, Trample forces them to explode on impact. The opponent is thrown off the screen and into the air by Torr using the Plaything to perform a caber toss. However, this time the opponent explodes upon impact with the arena floor. Utilizing Stabby Stab with the final stab in a grab and stab move, Ferra rips off the opponent's head. Instead of just flinging the opponent into the air when Torr does a little cutler with Twisted, Ferra chops them in half at the waist. Torr uses a double boulder roll and a steamroller to laughably flatten the opponent. Step on down allows Torr to execute his step aside combination, which results in the opponent's skull being crushed beneath his foot. Torr does a boss toss in Secret Boss Toss Brutality, but Ferra will cut the opponent in 2 at the waist with her last kick this time. Marvelous verdict. There are other variables than brute force at work in the fighting game world, despite the fact that basic fighting games could encourage you to assume otherwise. It's actually a positive thing. Ferra and Torr would forbid anybody from having a close look if such were the case. These 2 enemies first appeared as Kotal Khan's army in the previous game. They act like Cat Sith from Final Fantasy VII, with the smaller Ryder Ferra in control of the gigantic, lumbering behemoth Torr that serves as their mount. Torr is a hefty, powerful character with some unusual mechanics, as you would have suspected from the way he appears. 2 together are one of the strongest characters in the Mortal Kombat universe. And if if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.
Squeeze, Torr!